What if the secret to your insomnia was buried under snow 1,000 years ago? Inside a long house, warmed by fire and breath, sleep came slowly, then fully. Just the rhythm of cold air and close bodies, children curled beside elders, wool and fur piled high. The wind pressed gently against timber walls. But inside, the silence held. A torch flickered. Someone shifted. Someone sighed. And still, no one woke. In this world, night was not something to be overcome, it was something to enter. Breath rose like smoke, slow and soft. The dark didn't threaten. It wrapped itself around them. They didn't fear it. They knew it. Now, we light our faces with phones at 3:12 a.m. We scroll without aim. Notifications glow, then vanish. Sleep comes fractured if it comes at all. A hum under the walls, a street lamp too bright, a to-do list unfinished. There's no wind now, only algorithms. And in this shift, something was lost. Not just rest, but rhythm. They didn't conquer sleep, they lived it. This isn't nostalgia, it's anthropology. Outside, the wind lashes frozen branches, rattling them like bones strung in the dark. A storm moves across the tree line with force, snow sweeping sideways in sheets. But just beyond that violence, a longhouse stands buried in drifts. Thick hides seal its doorway. Inside, the world changes. The air is warm and still. Firelight reflects off timber beams blackened by years of smoke. Shadows stretch long across packed earth. This isn't comfort by accident. It's deliberate, crafted survival. Every layer of fur, every burning log, every seal of hide exists because winter demands it. Wind howls, a gambotier. Inside, silence answers. A boundary has been drawn. Storm outside, sanctuary within. Carrie sits close to the hearth, her small hands clutching a wooden carving worn smooth with time. Her fingers trace its edges. Her mother, Astrid, kneels beside the fire, stirring coals and gently turning a clay bowl of smoking herbs. The scent pine resin, juniper, perhaps dried valerian rises, and fills the space, soothing, grounding. Across the room, Gunnar, the elder, begins to speak. His voice is low, paced, deliberate. He doesn't tell stories for entertainment. He tells them because memory must be kept alive. Carrie listens, but so does Astrid. Even the fire seems quieter when Gunnar speaks. This isn't bedtime. It's ritual. Kara's breathing slows. Her eyelids flutter once. Then again, the carved animal drops softly to her chest. Her body settles deeper into the furs. Around her, the storm continues, but it can no longer reach her. A drum beat sounds quiet, steady, almost indistinguishable from a heartbeat. It fades in as the light fades out. Her last sight is firelight dancing across the wooden beams. Then nothing, just darkness and breath. Neon blinks outside a high-rise window. Headlights drag across the ceiling. Inside, a woman lies awake, eyes open, face lit only by her phone. It pulses faintly like a beacon or a warning. She scrolls without intention. Not searching, just cycling. Notifications appear, vanish. Her thumb never stops. Outside, a siren wails briefly, then fades into the hum of the city. The screen says 3:08 a.m. She doesn't look surprised. She's one of millions. 1 in 3 adults are now The average screen time has passed 7 hours a day. The glow doesn't soothe. It stimulates, and it never really turns off. The modern bedroom isn't hostile. It's engineered just not for rest. Blue light delays, melatonin, caffeine still pulses from earlier in the day. Each app delivers tiny dopamine jolts, keeping the mind half alert, Even when the screen dims, the environment hums. The fridge motor kicks in. A video paused 2 hours ago plays its last note. Her eyes blink quickly. Her breath is shallow. This isn't insomnia in the medical sense. It's biology colliding with design. Her body asks for stillness. The room replies with distraction. Now the frame splits. On the left, Carrie lies under furs, chest rising with the fire's rhythm. A wooden cradle shifts beside her. The only sound is a pop from the hearth. On the right, the woman shifts under synthetic sheets. A car alarm bleats nearby. She winces, checks the clock again, and reaches for melatonin, hesitating before swallowing. Carrie exhales slowly, turning toward the warmth of another sleeping body. The woman scrolls one last time, then turns the screen down but not off. They slept with silence. We sleep with simulation. What did they know that we've forgotten? It wasn't just about darkness, or warmth, or the absence of clocks. It was about permission to let go. A sacred trust that sleep wasn't a weakness but a return. Not a break from life but part of it. The woman closes her eyes. Her breath slows, not yet sleep, but something like remembering. In this pause, she doesn't reach forward. She reaches back, searching for a rhythm that once came naturally, a language of rest that needs no words. Viking sleep, especially in the long winters, wasn't a byproduct of exhaustion. It was a designed practice. Rest wasn't left to chance. It followed the arc of the fire, the rhythm of the body, and the wisdom of shared memory. It was physical and emotional, sacred and practical. Beds were layered with fur and straw, not just for warmth but to cocoon. Smoke from burning herbs served more than air quality. It signaled transition. Sleep was expected to take time. It unfolded slowly, alongside stories, chants, and the comfort of presence. When Astrid blew out the final candle and Kara's eyes closed beneath heavy furs, it wasn't just the end of the day. It was an entry into something deeper. They didn't fall asleep. They entered it. Across the next hour, we'll uncover a sleep world shaped by biology and belief. We'll look at evidence of segmented sleep, the two-part rhythm common before artificial light. We'll explore circadian cycles aligned with sun and fire, not screens and alarms. We'll examine the neurochemistry of darkness, how firelight gently leads the brain toward rest, and how story before sleep helped process emotion. Anthropology meets neuroscience here, not in theory, but in practice, through archaeological data, sleep research, and historical reenactment. We'll piece together how rest was once structured not only to restore, but to connect, to prepare the mind, calm the body, and mark the night as meaningful. This is not nostalgia. It's an investigation and an invitation, because this isn't just about the past. It's about the present possibilities we've left behind. In their sleep rituals, the Norths weren't just resting. They were recalibrating, recovering, remembering. Imagine nights that begin not with notifications, but with intention, fire, story, breath. Join us for a journey into darkness, warmth, and something sacred. Sleep as it was meant to be. We begin not with gods, but with data. Archaeologists kneel beside soot-darkened hearths. Above them, torches flicker in a reconstructed longhouse. These spaces weren't just for eating or working. They were engineered for rest. Today, sleep science uses controlled labs to explore light, temperature, and hormone cycles. Yet much of what the science now recommends, red spectrum lighting, communal warmth, quiet, dark spaces, was already built into Viking daily life. Long before melatonin supplements or digital detox routines, they lived in sync with the cues our bodies still crave. Anthropologists trace these alignments through structure, ritual, and residue. It wasn't mystical. It was measurable. What we now call ideal, they simply called night. In 2001, historian Roger Ekirch published research showing that pre-industrial societies often slept in two distinct phases. The first sleep lasted a few hours after dusk. Then came a quiet waking period used for prayer, reflection, conversation before a second sleep carried people to dawn. This segmented sleep model fits the Viking world, where firelight and dark-shaped routines. Within the longhouse, sleepers stirred and stretched when the fire dipped, then eased back into slumber as embers glowed. It wasn't insomnia, it was rhythm. Modern lab studies confirm that. Without artificial light, people naturally revert to this pattern. For the Norse, it required no theory, no intervention, just observation, just experience. Their sleep was cyclical, social, and sustainable. The Viking circadian rhythm was calibrated by environment, not technology. Melatonin production followed predictable cues. Darkness arrived, temperatures dropped, and the body responded. Sleep onset coincided with the fading of daylight and the cooling of the hearth. Morning didn't begin with alarms, began with gradual warmth, smoke curling through the roof vent, and orange light creeping through timber cracks. Modern sleep researchers note that humans are temperature-sensitive sleepers. A slight drop in body temperature signals readiness for sleep. In longhouse life, this occurred naturally, not through HVAC systems or wearable tech. Their clocks weren't ticking. They were glowing, dimming, cooling. Sleep came when the body said yes, and the world didn't say no. We now understand how artificial light disrupts circadian function. Blue spectrum light emitted from screens and bulbs suppresses melatonin and delays sleep. Red and orange light, like that from fire, has the opposite effect. Viking interiors glowed with this lower spectrum light. Candles, embers, and oil lamps created variable shadows, not constant glare. That instability helps the brain relax. The flicker of a flame mimics natural cues for rest, triggering a parasympathetic response. In contrast, the steady shine of a phone tricks the body into wait. Within the longhouse, firelight wasn't aesthetic, it was adaptive. It cued the mind for sleep, not stimulation. It supported their biology without effort. Firelight told the brain what time it was softly and correctly. Viking longhouses accidentally achieved what modern sleep labs now recommend. Quiet, darkness, and cold, three pillars of quality sleeper. Structural facts, not lifestyle choices. Thick animal hides muffled wind and absorbed sound. Moss chinking in timber walls, insulated from external noise. Cold air flowed naturally across packed dirt floors, encouraging deeper sleep cycles. Unlike today's over-insulated bedrooms, their spaces breathed. There was no sudden noise, no artificial light spike, no digital interruption. The environment told the nervous system, "You are safe to rest." Sleep scientists design blackout curtains and sound machines to mimic what longhouses delivered by necessity. They didn't engineer sleep. They surrendered to it. And in doing so, they achieved what many of us now The Viking longhouse was not just shelter, it was structure for shared rest. Beds were arranged along outer walls, offering both privacy and warmth. Whole families slept within arm's reach. Heat from bodies and fire was conserved. Archaeological evidence shows sleeping platforms built from wood and stone, softened with straw, moss, and fur. These materials muffled movement and encouraged stillness. Sleep wasn't fragmented by isolated bedrooms, nor disturbed by screens. Sound was absorbed. Movement was minimal. The group maintained a collective rhythm. Shared sleep created shared safety. For children, That rhythm trained nervous systems to sync with others. Today, many sleep alone. Then people slept together and better. Close quarters, aligned breath, and the darkness of cooperation formed their architecture of rest. Modern sleep research, stressors, temperature regulation, cold air, warm bedding, and protected extremities improve sleep onset and maintenance. Vikings didn't need thermal sensors. They used furs layered for insulation and moss for breathing. Stones warmed in the hearth were placed at the foot of bedding to keep circulation steady through the night. In elite outdoor gear today, this technique is standard. For the Norse, it was generational knowledge. Their environment was unforgiving, but their methods were precise. Heat wasn't ambient, it was placed, guarded, and felt. Archaeological layers reveal repeated hearth patterns, aligned with sleeping areas suggesting conscious design. Warmth was managed, not assumed. Rest wasn't accidental, it was prepared. Herbal aids were common in Viking settlements, not to force sleep, but to invite it. Plants like mugwort, valerian, and chamomile were gathered and dried during warmer months, stored in bundles, and used with intention. Some were steeped as in fuel, others were burned in clay bowls, their smoke wafting through sleeping areas. These herbs contain compounds now known to reduce anxiety and promote drowsiness. In Viking daily life, they were part of ritual. Hung above beds, woven into cloth, or placed near infants. Today, these same botanicals are sold as supplements. But for the Norse, they were relational. Plants were not products, they were partners. Astrid hangs a sachet above Keris bedding, not as magic but as memory, medicine, and meaning. Expert interviews bridge the past and present. A sleep historian notes, the Vikings didn't suffer from sleep debt. They allowed rest to unfold. A neurobiologist observes that Viking evening rituals allow movement, firelight, herbal smoke, storytelling mirror, the structure of modern cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CB. Breathing techniques, now taught in clinics, once happened by the hearth. Physical winding down was communal, not solitary. Emotional decompression came through story, not streaming. There were no apps, no prescriptions, and yet their rituals reduced stress, guided breath, and supported neurochemical balance. The ancestors didn't lack science. They lived it without formalizing it. Sleep was not optimized, it was honored. Viking sleep was seasonal, social, and shaped by place. In winter, nights stretched long. Time wasn't compressed into productivity blocks. It expanded. The body was allowed to mirror the land slower, quieter, deeper. Myth guided emotion. Temperature shaped the nervous system. Rest was not passive, but responsive. Children were trained not just to fall asleep, but to enter a relationship with darkness. Waking wasn't abrupt, it was collective. Dawn broke slowly. Furs shifted. Fire stirred. Outside, frost thickened, but inside, warmth persisted. Sleep shaped memory, resilience, and social cohesion. In this world, rest wasn't a break from living. It was part of life itself. Their world shaped their sleep, and their sleep shaped their world. Darkness holds the longhouse in full, not dimness true black. No sunrise yet, no hint of blue on the horizon. Just the whisper of wind against wooden walls and the quiet groan of the structure settling into cold. Inside, breath is visible if you're close enough to see it. A slow exhale, then stillness. No voices, no fire, no clock marks this moment. But Astrid wakes, not from a dream, not from sound. Her body knows its time. She moves gently, careful not to disturb Kara's small figure bundled beside her. In these moments, the boundary between night and day isn't broken, it's softened. Wood creaks beneath her steps. She doesn't reach for a switch. She reaches for the fire pit. Now only warm ash. Her movements are quiet, deliberate. The room is not asleep anymore. But it is not yet awake. Astrid crouches near the hearth, her fingers, calloused and sure, uncover what's left of last night's flame-buried ember, faintly glowing. She adds dried moss and slivers of birch bark, coaxing life from it. A breath, steady and controlled, fuels the slow shift from heat to light. Sparks leap, catch, hold. Flame reappears, not sudden, not bright, but meaningful. The fire is the day's first signal not to begin rushing, but to begin noticing. Carrie stirs behind her. The light brushes across her cheek, still rosy with sleep. Astrid adds wood carefully chosen lengths that will burn warm, not wild. They didn't flip a switch. They awakened fire, and in doing so, they marked the start of time, of effort, of care. The room shifts. Shadows move. A day begins. Not loudly, but with respect. Before lifting food to anyone's lips, Astrid opens a pouch. Inside, dried chamomile blossoms, crushed mugwort, a few stray strands of lavender. She pinches the herbs into a clay bowl and adds water. As it heats, steam curls upward. The scent is gentle, earthy. It fills the air before light does. This tea isn't for stimulation, it's for transition, for moving the body gently from dreaming to doing. Carrie sits up slowly, blinking. Her eyes follow the steam first, then her mother's hands. The tea is poured, one small cup for each. This isn't medicine, it's message. The night has ended, but the mind needs coaxing. They sip in silence. They do not speak yet, not until the first bowl is empty. Morning, for them, begins not with noise, but with warmth, with breath, with what calms the body before it moves. The porridge is simple: barley, water, a trace of salt, cooked slowly over the same flame that now lights the room. Bowls are passed without comment. Wooden spoons scrape softly, a quiet rhythm that matches the creak of beams overhead. No one eats quickly. Carrie leans her shoulder against Astrid's side. Gunnar sits across from them, posture relaxed. This meal is not fuel for a long commute or a background to a screen. It's a ceremony of presence, of being together without hurry. There is no discussion of plans. The tasks ahead are already known. What matters now is heat, taste, breath. Even meals carried the cadence of rest. As Carrie finishes the last spoonful, she sets her bowl down gently. No one tells her to. It's simply what happens when the body is ready. Nothing is rushed. Everything is felt. Daylight arrives slowly in the far north. Even at mid-morning, the light is dim and the longhouse breathes with it. Doors remain closed to keep the warmth, but dim streaks of grey press through seams in the walls. Gunnar steps out briefly to collect wood. His breath fogs instantly, hands wrapped in wool. Astrid sits near the fire, mending a tear in Carrie's cloak. Her stitches are even, practiced. Carrie fills a bucket with ice chips from a basin, which will melt near the fire for washing. These tasks are not distractions. They are the day. No errands, no notifications. The movements are purposeful. There is no rush to finish. There is only the doing. Hands stay busy, not frantic. Muscles move, not tense. The rhythm here is not slow because it must be. It is slow because it should be. Later, Carrie settles beside Gunnar, who begins to speak. His stories are not improvised. They are remembered. This one, Carrie has heard before. It's about a fox and a girl who gets lost, then found. Gunnar's voice is soft, unwavering. His hands move to illustrator's tale, the path through trees. Carrie leans forward, even though she knows the ending. That's not the point. The repetition is the rhythm. The rhythm is the comfort. The story anchors her. It grounds her attention, not with surprise, but with familiarity. Astrid listens while working, her fingers never pausing. The room holds the tale, each line resting like a stone laid flat. They told stories to remember and to rest. This wasn't performance. It was a pattern, a way to keep memory, keep calm, keep each other in time. By late afternoon, the light fades again. But the fatigue that settles in is not from it's from use, from motion. Karis's arms ache a little from sorting kindling. Astrid's shoulders are sore from the loom. Gunnar's hands are stiff, but warm by the fire. No one talks about being tired. It's in how they sit, in how they move. The body has been working with the day, not against it. There are no energy drinks, no second winds, only readiness for slowing down. Carrie rubs her eyes as she folds a small piece of cloth. Astrid doesn't correct her posture. She smiles. This is not collapse. It's a natural descent, a return. They have not chased sleep. They have walked toward it, hour by hour. By evening, they do not need permission to rest. Their bodies are already saying yes. There's no switch that signals evening, no single moment when the day ends. It just fades. Shadows stretch long across fur bedding. Flame flickers more than it burns. The longhouse dims, not in darkness, but in depth. Outside, the last of the light dissolves into cloud. Inside, voices lower, movements become smaller. There's no urgency, no rush to finish one last thing. The dark is not feared. It is followed, it shapes the hour. Carrie plays quietly, sorting small carved figures into a pouch. Gunnar runs his hand along the grain of the bench, where he'll soon sleep. Astrid lays another log on the fire, then sits back, watching the coals settle. Light tells them what time it is, not by alarm but by rhythm. The kind of rhythm you feel more than hear. The room responds. It slows together. As the night deepens, Astrid prepares a different kind of fire. This one is not for cooking or gathering. It's for resting. She chooses smaller logs, flatter coals, arranging them like puzzle pieces. The fire must burn low but steady enough to warm, not enough to blaze. She adds one piece of dry juniper to scent the air. Carrie watches from her bedding, eyes already up. The sleep fire is quiet, predictable. It does not flare. It pulses. Its light touches the walls like a blanket might. Gunnar adjusts his bedding near the edge of its glow. Astrid smooths the ash circle containing the embers. This fire won't need tending often. It knows its role. Rhythm, not brightness. Safety, not spectacle. In this house, sleep is prepared for, not demanded, not waited on. It is invited with flame, with quiet, with care. Before laying down fully, Astrid places a small bundle of herbs on the coal-dried lavender, crushed pine needle, a sliver of bark. It smoulders, not flares. The smoke coils in slow loops, thin and fragrant. It isn't meant to mask scent. It's meant to guide the breath. Too quieted. The sharp pine clears the nose. The lavender slows the chest. Even Gunnar's breathing changes longer, lower. No one speaks. Kara's shoulders drop. Finally, fully still. This is not medication. It's invitation. The room shifts into a different stateless alert. More weight. The scent is not strong, but it's steady, consistent. They don't name it. They just inhale it. This moment is not a prescription. It's a tradition. one that teaches the lungs to soften, the heart to ease, and with it, the body to rest. No one announces the songs. They begin as breath, then hum, low and slow. Astrid starts, but not to lead, just to begin. The melody isn't meant for performance. It has no sharp edges, it doesn't build, it settles. Carrie hums, too quietly, matching her mother's pace. These are lullabies, with our lyrics passed down by tone, not text. Gunnar's voice joins briefly an older note, rougher, grounding the air. The song is the final softening of the day. It lingers, moves, holds. This isn't entertainment, it's alignment, a breath-based permission to let go. The song ends where it started, almost unnoticeably. Just quiet, sleep, already near, becomes closer. They sang not to show something. They sang to signal. We're done now. We're safe. We're ready. The melody finishes, but the feeling remains, woven into the dark. Carrie curls into the bedding. Astrid tucks a fur around her, then smooths her hair once. Not quickly, not because it's part of a checklist, but because it's part of the rhythm. Carrie's fingers wrap around her carved toy, soft edges worn smooth from use. Her breath is steady, warm against the blanket. Astrid doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. This is the moment everything has pointed to. Not as an ending, but as a fulfillment. Rest was the purpose of the fire. The food, the rhythm, the story. It's not separate from life. It's the result of living it well. The room goes still. Flame flickers. Outside, wind moves snow against the walls. But inside, only softness remains. The furs rise and fall. No one hurries. Rest arrives. Not taken but accepted, as it has for generations. Somewhere near midnight, Astrid stirs. Not startled, just aware. The fire needs adjusting. A log shifts. She rises, quiet. Carrie does not wake. Gunnar is already sitting, rubbing his hands. I dreamed of a red fox, he says softly. Astrid nods. Dreams are not dismissed here. They are noted. They might carry something. She takes a smooth wood slat, writes with a bit of coal, just a word or two. They speak quietly. This waking is not a problem. It's a pattern. Between first and second sleep, there is space, a kind of nocturnal intermission. Sometimes filled with words, sometimes just stillness. Astrid stirs the fire, replaces the herb bundle. Smoke rises again. Breath evens. They didn't treat waking as failure. They treated it as part of the night's offering. They listened to what the night said. Then they returned to silence. The fire glows again, low and warm. Gunnar lies back. Astrid curls beside Carrie. The room is completely quiet. Not even the wind seems to reach them now. Breath moves softly across the room. One slow tide. Sleep returns, not out of desperation, but as in. This second sleep is deeper, more relaxed. The body has already released most tension. What remains is repair, restoration. Time is unmet. No one worries what hour it is. There is only the feel of furs, the scent of smoke, the quiet certainty that nothing is required. The longhouse is not just shelter, it is rhythm. It breathes with them, and so they sleep again, not to escape the day, but to prepare for it. A night untouched by noise, only breath, only rest. Firelight flickers softly over faces worn by time and quiet reflection. The longhouse breathes a gentle stillness. Here, silence is not emptiness, it is attention. It is presence. Astrid gazes into the flame, her eyes steady and unfocused, absorbing its slow dance. Beside her, Gunnar sits without speaking. No need for words. No need to fill the space. The pauses are as meaningful as the speech that surrounds them. For the Norse, sleep was not weakness, nor was stillness void. It was sacred. It was necessary. Stillness was their language when words fell short. Sleep was their sanctuary, a sacred act woven into the fabric of life. Sleep, in their worldview, was never simply a medical condition or a biological necessity. It was mythic, a dialogue with the unseen. Dreams were messages from ancestors or god signs from beyond the waking world, carrying guidance, warnings, and comfort. Carrie carves a crescent moon into a piece of wood, mimicking the symbols she has seen in stories told by the elders. These symbols are not decoration, but communication. The unconscious mind was not something to be cured or feared. It was holy ground. They didn't treat sleep, they listened to it. When dawn finally arrives, dreams do not end, but are shared. The family gathers quietly around their simple meal, as Gunnar softly recounts the dream that visited him through the night. The stories are not dissected or diagnosed, but honored as part of the living tapestry of experience. Fear in dreams is not shameful, but symbolic. It is a metaphor for what lies beneath the surface: grief, anxiety, hope, or wisdom. The mood is one of reverence. These moments bind the family in intimacy, a shared understanding of the unseen. Children learn early to quiet the blood, a phrase meaning to calm the mind and body through breath and stillness. Astrid guides Kara's small hand to her chest, showing her how to feel the pulse and then slowly breathe out. They practice together the long exhale following a heartbeat. This simple act teaches control over rising emotions and physical tension. It is repetition and ritual, building resilience before words are fully formed. Quieting the blood is a training ground for the mind storms, preparing the child for nights of stillness and dreams. Winter is not a trial to be overcome, but a season to be respected. The long silence of snow-covered forests encourages slowing, reflection, and renewal. The world seems to hold its breath, and so do they. Long shots show the longhouse nestled beneath white branches, the trees unmoving in frozen reverence. The season doesn't demand struggle, it allows surrender. The dark invites rest, not resistance. The body and mind follow this invitation, aligning with nature's slower rhythm rather than racing against it. The trickster Loki serves as more than just mission. He is a cultural tool for understanding fear and chaos. Stories of Loki's antics explain nightmares and restless spirits, turning unknown terror into something graspable. A shadow puppet show captures children's laughter as they watch Loki tangled in ropes, symbolizing confusion and entrapment, but also the possibility of release. They gave fear a face, so it would not remain faceless and unknowable. This framing makes fear less isolating and more manageable. Myths are not escapes from reality, but steady-in forces that help people process life's cycles: grief, joy, aging, loss, and renewal. Astrid retells a saga as Carrie listens, her eyelids half-lidded, body relaxed. The voice forms a cradle of sound and meaning, offering comfort and continuity. These stories are emotional anchors, shaping experience into rhythm and understanding. Through myth, the tribe names the unnameable, bringing structure to the human experience. Cultural psychologist Dr. Lena Voltanen observes that modern conditions like anxiety, insomnia, and hypervigilance were once shared communal moments, rather than isolated paths. An interview clip fades into a scene of a group breathing ritual by the fire. They processed these emotions together, she says. We diagnose them alone. This shift from ritual to diagnosis reflects changes in how societies relate to mind and body. In the Longhouse, emotional struggles were integrated, not met. A spiritual historian reflects on boredom as a misunderstood state. For the Vikings, boredom was not an enemy, but a gateway to the spirit. Long silences and stillness cultivated inner worlds and spiritual connection. A scene shows Carrie sitting quietly by the fire, slowly carving wood. The voiceover notes, they didn't fear stillness. They fell into it. This acceptance of boredom as a sacred space contrasts sharply with modern discomfort and inactivity. The section closes with a clear thesis. What modern eyes see as absent silence, rest, and pause was in fact structure. Stillness held their nights and lives together, providing framework for emotion, thought, and dream. A slow zoom reveals the family asleep under thick furs. The firelight, low and steady. The final line rings clear. Stillness was not an absence. It was their architecture. They didn't just sleep well by chance. Their entire built environment was crafted to soothe the body and lull the mind. Within the longhouse, firelight flickers softly over stone walls and thick animal furs. This was not random warmth, it was design. Every element, from architecture to ritual, aimed to ease tension and invite rest. They didn't just rest, they designed for rest. The physical spaces they created shaped their biology, aligning with natural rhythms that modern science only now fully understands. The walls of the longhouse were thatched thick to block the harsh northern wind, but still allowed gentle airflow. This balance prevented the space from becoming stagnant, supporting deep, uninterrupted sleep. Outside, snow drifts were brushed from the roof by swirling gusts, while inside, steam curled lazily near roof vents. The constant, subtle ventilation was a natural rhythm, an invisible pulse that kept the air fresh and the night quiet. Their homes breathed alongside them, creating an environment where rest could thrive. Beneath their feet, stone floors absorbed and held the fire pit's heat, radiating it steadily throughout the long night. Moss layered between stones softened each step, muffling sound and adding insulation. Gunnar warms his hands on a smooth stone, then carefully places it near Kara's bedding to provide gentle warmth. The fire crackles quietly in the background, not roaring, but steady, sustaining a low, lasting heat that soothed without disruption. This slow warmth fostered comfort and calm from below. The central fire pit served purposes beyond cooking and light. It radiated a gentle heat that stretched into the sleeping areas, creating pockets of warmth that encouraged relaxation. Its orange glow was never harsh or overwhelming, but provided a subtle guide for the eye, signaling safety and the passage of time. As the family settles beneath furs, the fire hums quietly. The fire didn't just protect, it preparing bodies and minds for the transition into sleep. Their pharmacy was drawn from the forest itself. Valerian root, known today for its calming properties, was a staple. Mugwort, associated with vivid dreams, and still under modern research, was carefully dried and stored. Birch smoke, with mild sedative and antiseptic qualities, was burned to cleanse the air. Astrid bundles these herbs into a small pouch, which she hangs above Kara's bed. Smoke rises in gentle spirals, curling toward the thatch above. These herbs weren't guesses. They were ancestral wisdom, handed down through generations, a calm and centric ritual to invite rest. Time was not measured by clocks or markets, but by natural cycles. Day was for tasks, night was for stories and rest. Gunnar gestures toward the darkening sky as Kerry yawns, the rhythms of work and repose moving with the sun. There were no alarms demanding attention, no artificial shifts compressing time. They didn't manage time. They moved with a tan, ebb and flow that allowed the body and mind to sync with the environment rather than fight it. Meals were simple and intentional. There was no sugar or caffeine to disrupt sleep cycles. Food was earthy, warming, and easy to digest. Root stews, dried fish, and preserved vegetables. Astrid eats slowly from a steaming bowl, the nourishment serving as gentle sedation rather than stimulation. Their diet supported melatonin production rather than adrenaline spikes, reinforcing the body's readiness for rest after each day's work. Evening brought a natural cooling of the body before the cocooning warmth of bedding. Carrie shivers briefly as she steps from the hearth's heat, then sighs deeply into the softness of her furs. This drop in body temperature, followed by immediate warmth, aligns perfectly with what modern sleep labs replicate to induce sleep. They followed a natural physiological process, preparing the body for rest through temperature modulation rather than artificial means. Modern sleep science is rediscovering what Vikings lived. Practices like cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia and sleep hygiene echo their ancient routines of darkness, stillness, warmth, and rhythmic breathing. Brain scan data overlays flicker alongside images of the firelight. An expert voice reflects. Everything pointed toward calm, community, and circadian respect. What was once ancestral wisdom is now supported by neuroscience, confirming that their culture engineered well-being from the ground up. As night deepens, Astrid breathes deeply beside Carrie, their hands clasped quietly together. The room is filled not with silence, but a humming, present safety, memory, and rest interwoven. Breath fogs the candlelight briefly before dissipating. This was more than sleep. It was restoration, a healing shared across generations, held in the steady rhythm of fire and breath. Here, rest was not an absence, but a presence, an active and vital part of life. The city pulses with relentless energy, crowded crosswalks filled with faces bathed in the blue glow of screens. Phones buzz beneath pillows, coffee machines hiss in the background, and sirens wail somewhere beyond. This modern world is a machine of wakefulness, driving us away from natural rest. We fight sleep, we delay it, we fear silence. The hum of activity never ceases. Every notification demands attention. Every light pulls us deeper into alertness. The night no longer invites calm, forces vigilance. This is the world we inhabit, yet it stands in stark contrast to those who lived by the rhythm of fire and breath, not electricity and anxiety. Our circadian rhythms fracture under the weight of 24/7 demands. Time no longer follows sun or season, but deadlines, alerts, and glowing rectangles. Clocks tick endlessly while screens ping with reminders and urgent messages. The relentless feedback loops fracture our rest, leaving exhaustion in their wake. The body craves rest, but the environment offers only stimulation. The natural order, day for work, night for sleep, has been replaced by chaos. Sleep is a battle, often lost. The tension in the air is palpable, an undercurrent to every moment awake. We push harder, yet feel more drained. This fractured time fractures our bodies and minds alike. Sleep once bound families in warmth and safety. Now it isolates. Vikings found comfort in shared breath, communal rest beneath furs and thatch. Their nights were filled with presence and protection. Today, many sleep alone, in silent rooms brightened by screens, their bodies alert to every sound. A split screen shows Carrie nestled safely with family as a modern figure scrolls alone in bed. We sleep alone, but feel less safe. Hypervigilance replaces peace. The primal sense of being watched, of being protected, is lost in isolation. Our sleep environments breed loneliness as much as rest. Silence itself has become a source of anxiety. The modern mind craves distraction to avoid stillness, revealing a deep fear of quiet. A hand reaches repeatedly for a phone in the dark. The face is tense, eyes darting beneath the faint glow. Silence is no longer a bomb but a burden. The restlessness grows as distraction feeds it, creating cycles hard to break. Stillness is equated with emptiness or boredom rather than peace. This fear of silence traps many in endless activity. Yet stillness once held power. Now it often feels like punishment. Our dopamine systems ride a constant wave of stimulation. Notifications pile up, screens scroll faster and faster. Fear no longer lurks in forest shadows, but rides digital waves of outrage and urgency. The endless barrage hijacks ancient wiring designed for fleeting danger, turning it into chronic alertness. Phones light faces in dark rooms, thumbs swipe endlessly, eyes glazed with fatigue. Our ancestors feared shadows, we fear notifications. The emotional landscape has shifted, but the underlying biology remains unchanged. Always alert, always reacting, rarely resting. The Vikings embraced the slow dark of winter. They surrendered to the season's rhythm instead of fighting it. Carrie sleeps under heavy furs as the longhouse glows warmly against the dusk. The darkness was their rhythm, not their enemy. Their days contracted naturally, allowing body and mind to slow with the land's cycle. Rest was woven into life, not a disruption. This surrender brought resilience, clarity, and renewal. Darkness was a guide, shaping energy rather than suppressing it. This seasonal acceptance stands in stark contrast to modern resistance. Stillness was not laziness. It was ancestral wisdom passed through generations. Fingers trace wood grain slowly. Breath deepens in measured rhythm. The quiet practice of presence, of listening to the body and mind, was central to their survival. It was an active choice to cease activity, to honor the pause. Stillness was not emptiness. It was fullness, space to heal, reflect, and prepare. This insight offers a sharp reframe for modern life, where stillness is often undervalued or feared. Calm authority flows from this tradition. Cross-cut visuals show Carrie sleeping peacefully, a modern woman scrolling alone in bed, Gunnar listening thoughtfully to dreams, and a man startled awake by an alarm. These images mark a poignant contrast. What we've lost is not just rest, it's ritual. The nightly rites that prepared mind and body for sleep have faded, leaving behind fragmentation and anxiety. Sleep has become a problem to solve, rather than a state to enter. Ritual once made sleep safe and meaningful. Now, it often feels elusive and incomplete. You don't need to become a Viking. Reclaiming rest doesn't require recreating history. It means embracing the principles behind it: rhythm, community, and reverence for darkness and stillness. A modern person turns off their phone, closes their eyes, and breathes deeply. The act is simple but profound. You don't need elaborate rituals. You need only permission to pause, to disconnect, to slow. You don't need to become a Viking, but maybe you could sleep like one. Try firelight instead of screens. Welcome silence instead of noise. Find stillness in a world that resists it. Let your ancestors guide you back to rest. A candle flickers in a dark room, casting warm shadows. A slow breath fills the space. A peaceful face relaxes, surrendering to the night. Sleep is waiting. You just need to answer. Dawn filters softly through frost-lessed windows of the Viking longhouse. Carrie stirs beneath heavy furs, her eyelids fluttering as the warm glow of morning touches her face. Breath rises in quiet clouds in the cold air. Astrid's hands move gently, brushing back Kara's hair with a tenderness born of ritual and love. She whispers blessings to the new day, a sacred moment woven into the rhythm of life. The longhouse holds a hushed stillness, intimate and reverent. Here, waking is slow, natural, and welcome. The same breath that once moved through these frozen halls now moves through you, connecting past and present in a quiet, unbroken line. The scene shifts to a modern bedroom. A man, worn from restless nights, reaches out and turns off his phone. The harsh, artificial glow fades into darkness. He exhales deeply, the tension easing from his body, his eyes closed with a quiet surrender. A steady heartbeat fills the soundscape, a soft anchor in the silence. Sleep is no longer a battle to be fought, but a sanctuary to be embraced. Theirs was a gift, crafted by firelight and ritual, by community and stillness. This ancient wisdom still calls to us today. Sleep is not conquered, it is lived as a friend, a place to return to. Tonight, as you lay down your head, remember this: sleep is not a battle to win, but a place to come home to. What will you answer when the darkness calls? The flicker of a campfire fades gently into the vast night sky, stars shimmering timelessly. A soft wind whispers through the trees, and in the distance, an owl hoots quietly, a reminder that rest is always near, waiting.